Yankel only ever had books to play with. In his whole house, there was not one TV, not one computer, not even a CD player. Instead, his house was cluttered from floor to ceiling with books. There were books in the closets, books in the stove, books very nearly growing out of the walls. For everything that exists in the world, there was a book in Yankel's house. Yankel loved books, but was beginning to realize that there were other things in the world worth playing with. At school, Yankel's friends compared Hanukkah gifts.
I got a PlayStation,
said Zlotia.
My dad got me a new computer,
said Hirsch.
I got the puppy,
said little Heschel.
What did you get, Yankel?
Yankel's friends asked him in unison, but poor Yankel was too embarrassed to admit that he had only gotten another book. That's right, another book. This book was a book about whales, and Yankel had been so excited to read it just the night before. But now, Yankel knew that his gift was nowhere near as exciting as the gifts his friends had gotten. Yankel chewed on his bottom lip, and his brow began to perspire. And then he just knew it. I got a great big blue whale, Yankel exclaimed.
A whale?
Said his friends in unison. Yankel nodded happily, for this was certainly the best gift of them all.
Where do you keep it?
Asked Zlotia in disbelief. In my swimming pool, said Yankel.
That's impossible,
said Hirsch.
I'll believe it when I see it,
said little Heschel. Yankel was beginning to get nervous. Perhaps lying wasn't such a good idea after all.
Can we come to see it tomorrow after school?
Asked Zlotia. Sure, said Yankel, for what else could he say? On the way home, Yankel was all in a huff. How was he going to find a great big blue whale by tomorrow, let alone a swimming pool to keep it in? By the time he got upstairs, Yankel was so upset that he threw himself onto the bed, knocking over all of the books that had been lying there, including the book about whales. They smacked and banged onto the floor as Yankel sniffed and cried into the pillow. But just as the books toppled to the floor, Yankel heard something very peculiar. "Oof!" said a little voice coming from the pile of books. Yankel's head shot up in alarm. He became very still and very quiet, so as not to scare away whatever made the sound. "Will you do me a favor and help me out from under here?" the voice spoke again. Yankel leaned over the bed and spotted the whale book peeping out from the bottom of the pile. He grabbed its corner and slid it out from beneath the other books. "Ah, that's better," said the book. "Now open me up to page 35. As you might imagine, Yankel was a bit afraid of this talking book, but who could blame him? But he was so curious that he couldn't help but obey the talking book's orders. He opened the book to page 35. There he saw a picture of a great big blue whale swimming across the page. The blue whale turned its gigantic head to Yankel and gave him a wink. He said in a deep moaning whisper, "Meet me at the ocean." But that was it, for just as the words escaped from the book, in walked Yankel's mother and father and baby brother Zadel. The book closed itself up in a hurry and Yankel jumped up in alarm. "What is it, my Yankela?" asked Yankel's mother. "Nothing," said Yankel, and then he thought for a moment and said, "Can we go to the ocean?" "First we must all eat some dinner," said Yankel's mother. Like all anxious little boys, Yankel couldn't keep still at the dinner table. He tapped his foot on the floor, rolled his fingers across the table, and scarfed his dinner down as though he hadn't eaten in days. Yankel couldn't wait another moment to find out what would happen at the ocean. "Slow down and keep still, my Yankela," scolded his mother. "We won't be able to go to the ocean should you get nauseous." Yankel kept still until dinner was finally finished. The family walked hand in hand to the ocean front under a darkening sky. It began to grow chilly, and Yankel held his jacket closed around his chin. They arrived at the beach and walked right up to the water's edge. The ocean's waves turned and tumbled with the wind, threatening the dry sand beneath their feet. Yankel was getting frightened, and he recoiled behind his father's leg, for he didn't know what to expect. "Now what is it that you wanted to see?" asked Yankel's mother. Yankel wasn't sure what to say. Perhaps nothing was meant to happen after all. "Look!" exclaimed Yankel's father, pointing way out in the distance of the sea. Yankel and his mother turned to look, and baby Zadel began to clap with joy. For what they saw way out in the water's horizon was a great big blue whale breaching its head above the water. It leaped and twisted in midair, showing its great white striped belly, and made a gigantic splash as it hit the water again. The family marveled at the amazing creature, and Yankel knew that this had to be the best gift of them all.